guys, I'm going to tell you all how to set up an LLC in 10 steps. This will be based on setting up an LLC in Norway, specifically the jurisdiction of Norway, based on the Norwegian judicial framework. But a lot of these principles can also be applied to other jurisdictions, whether you live in the US, USA, in Germany, in other places. You can apply many of these principles and just identify, just do your own research to identify, okay, how can I apply similar methodology to set up my own LLC where I'm living right now. So here are two prerequisites that you should have before you should have before you even think about starting the LLC. So this is step one. You need to have the business before before you actually register the LLC. So with the business, I mean two things. You should have a business idea and you should have some kind of market willingness to pay. With You should either have a product or a service that you want to provide to the market. There's a problem you seek to solve through your specific product or service, and there are actually some indicators in the market. There are people who are saying, okay, I will pay for this, or I will be interested in this because it provides me with value, right? It provides me with value, and therefore I will pay for it if this was on the market, right? So it's first when you have these two things that you can actually start thinking about the LLC. And yeah, for the first thing of this, for the business idea, um, it's here it's all about kind of finding the minimal viable product, and the second one, market willingness to pay, ICP, right? The ideal client persona. These two business terms you need to get familiar with and identify and understand for understanding your business before you'll solidify it into a judicial entity. So the second step, when you have these two things in order, and there's a whole process to go thoroughly through the minimal viable product, identifying an ideal client persona, and so on. That I won't go into depth in that in this video. I may make another video on that. There are a lot of great videos out there. If you search for anything about minimal viable product, for ideal client persona, all of this, then you should find a lot of great contents. Alex Ramosi and Luke Belmar and the like should have a lot of content on this, which you could check out on the matter. So the second one is to study the minimum requirements of capital for the business and information for the founding documents of the company. Basically, okay, what are the requirements in your jurisdiction to fill the business with with capital and information for the judicial entity? Okay, in Norway, for instance, there is a requirement of 30,000 Norwegian kroners, which is around probably 27, 28, or 2.7, 2.8 thousand euros or so, or around around that. And yeah, so you should be familiar with that. That you need to provide the business with minimum this amount, and then you should consider also that, okay, this amount may be a start, but considering your business, you may need more than that. You should, before you actually conduct the registration of the business, and when you think about how you should um, how you seek to what kind of startup costs are relevant when you're going to start the business in the first months, especially before you start actually getting solid revenue, then you should consider what you need to have of capital to cover these startup costs. And if the minimum requirement for the capital isn't sufficient to cover those costs, then you should consider starting with a higher amount if you have that available as bootstrapping funds based on um, your own funds. So basically, that's what I had to learn kind of the hard way, right? I started with 30,000 Norwegian kroners, and then I figured out, okay, now I need more capital. Suddenly, there were higher startup costs than I expected. So now I need to take a capital appraisal of okay, around 20,000 kroner more, and do the extra administration work to get that equity in a proper way, judicially. So yeah, it will avoid more complications later if you, from the start, consider what and estimate what the startup cost will be, and use that as a basis for how much capital you actually include. And yeah, that's the side for the capital of the you uh, write about in the founding documents, and then there's the information. Usually, that's okay. Who are the shareholders? Who are the board members? Who uh, are there anyone employed in the company, and so on? What does the company do, and so on. Other things like this, and in your jurisdictions, corporate law, there should be some kind of minimum requirements for okay, the founding documents of these types of businesses need to include this type of information, and you should then you should start. Okay, the founding documents include that information. You should have that readily available. Um, uh, and consider that and describe okay, what is the specific business in an elevator, like an elevator pitch, right? Okay, in one sentence describe the business. That is what may be included in the founding documents, and so on, including the other people and roles that are involved in the business in the start. So that's step two, right? And step three, if available, find a supplier who fills out the legal paperwork for the registration for free or cheaply. So in Norway, we basically have this service called Start the AS, which means Start LLC, which is offered by an accounting software provider called Conta, and basically what they do is they basically based on their own fill it out on the based on their own templates. You just provide the information, they fill it out, and you get it back. You also get offers for accounting providers, accounting software, logos, many other things. So it could be an advantage there because you find a lot of other things that could be relevant for your business through such services if they are available to you. So I would recommend checking out what kind of options there are for you for that. And yeah, other than that, step four, select your main bank for the business and send the document over to the bank for processing. Here you should consider what types of payments, financing needs, salary, all of these other things, international payments, and so on. What are the transactional needs of and financial needs of the business, and how does the bank kind of cover these consideration and needs when it comes to being your main bank as as a business. And here you should make sure to have carefully reviewed and signed the documents before sending. Another thing I would recommend for step three, when if you do find a provider for the legal paperwork of the founding documents, then you should consider having the option or receiving them not just in PDF files but also in Word files, because if you get if it's a third party who fills out the paperwork for you, right, and then you get the paperwork. It goes fine with the founding in the beginning, but then later you need to edit some things in the bylaws. Then you need to basically, or you don't necessarily need to start over, but you need to turn the PDF document into a Word file and use kind of a PDF to Word converter and so on, right? And you generally want flexibility on these types of documents. so that you can update it uh, when um, when you have the need and when you conduct the proper kind of judicial steps in order to do to make these types of changes. Otherwise, yeah, there will be more administration work later in that sense. So yeah, that's what you should consider. Get the bylaws and founding documents in Word documents if you get them by a third party, and uh, basically don't lose the Word file. It should be possible to easily make changes to that later, and then when you send it to the bank, they will have all the information they need, and for the founding this time, and later when you update the bylaws, you can send it over as the updated version, right? So that's step 4. Step 5, when the bank has processed and reviewed the papers, uh, you need to sign and submit the registration application to the registration agency. So in Norway, that's called Brønnøysundregistrene, and it takes about like 3 to 4 weeks. We use this service called Altinn. It's kind of a public sector um, service, which we send these types of files and information to the government through. And so basically, so the bank offers their kind of confirmation that everything is okay, and you've signed everything, you've handed over all the documents and everything they're asking for, and then it goes through the process, and and then if everything is fine, which it should be when you have gone through all the right channels to do it, um, then you get the registration number. It's founded and it's officially registered as an LLC, right? So by this point, by step 5, you have the LLC, right? But okay, you should you also have to cover your bases, right? You aren't finished when you've just registered the LLC in the system, right? You need to do a lot of other things before you can actually start doing business. You need to cover your bases for your administration in order not to avoid problems later. And that's when we get to step 6. You should identify and select a provider for contract templates and legal assistance that doesn't involve too heavy lawyer costs, right? In Norway, there's this provider called Lexolve, which has like uh, yeah, basically quality assured templates uh, uh, for contracts and all these kind of legal documents involved in when you have a business like an LLC, and it's basically a lifesaver, right? Because it saves so extremely much time. You just have to fill out the relevant information and into the format and structure it's provided there, and basically there is covered most of the things you need to consider in that sense. So that is something I absolutely recommend. Okay, if shit hits the fan, if something happens, you don't want to be in a situation where you have to hire an expensive lawyer for let's say I don't know, like $3,000 an hour. I don't know, but at least find options and look what's available. Uh, as for judicial assistance when it comes to this kind of administration, like legal paperwork, and when it comes to okay, when things happen, when you need assistance for special situations, special kinds of deals, special types of circumstances and risks, then you should know and find what to have uh, and build on in those circumstances. So in Norway, it's around like 1,300 a year, right, for a basic like starter package, which is pretty good. You can um, chat with their lawyers and get help, fill out contracts and everything. So that is pretty um, useful. For step 7, you choose the accounting software. I once like uh, which accounting software you choose depends a lot on the type of business you're in, the size, the industry, like a lot of other things based on the types of kind of financial accounting, like what kinds of transactions you're doing will affect how the bookkeeping will be, right, on accounting. So you should consider that when you're setting up. Maybe if you have a business bank advisor, you can ask them what they think is appropriate for that, or just reach out to accounting, to sales of accounting softwares which might seem relevant, and asking, okay, this is the situation for me, this is the business I'm setting up in. How effective would this kind of how effective would this specific accounting software be for the kind of business I'm operating in? And if they can give a good answer to that, and it seems to be effective, and a good have a good user interface, be good, then you're good to go, right? And this takes us to step 8, right? This should choose the accounting provider for outsourcing accounting to a professional, unless you have a lot of like millions in startup capital, and can immediately hire more employees for administration, like accountants and so on. Then you don't want to have to spend time all the time to do the bookkeeping and accounting, right? You want someone to do it for you, so that you can focus on the business. And this is done through outsourcing it to cheaper providers who still have good qualifications, know what they're doing, have good standards for their services. So that's step 8. And uh, for step 9, you should cover other necessary administration and necessities for conducting business, including insurance and contracts for employment, board generally assembly decisions, and more. Like what types of decisions and administration work and contracts and so on. This will depend a lot on the industry and business and size and other things. But that's something you should consider when you have all of these other steps in order. Um, so when you have all of these other steps in order, then it's more relevant to consider, okay, uh, are there any other laws or our regulations in this industry, in this type of business, that I need to cover? Okay, what are the necessary coverage for insurance? Is there anything legally required to insure in this types of business? What types of contracts for employments do I need to set up? When I make certain decisions for the business, what types of um, uh, procedure, like what types of procedures do I need to follow in order for it to be legally viable, or legally acceptable, so to speak, or legally valid, um, for the business as a whole. So yeah, definitely consider that by that point, when you've covered all of the administration cost, then you're pretty much good to go for the administration, right? So step 10 now is to focus on the actual business. It's here you start. Okay, you build connections and leads through marketing and networking, getting clients, offering your products and services. Basically, what you started with and had prepared by step 1, you can now go back to in step 10, right? So in basically from step 1 to step 10 is all of the administration and legal work you need to do to establish a solid LLC, right? So now you have a solid LLC. I wish you good luck on um, applying this in practice, and building your business forward. Let me know in the comments what type of business you're building and planning to launch, or if you're already started your own business or LLC. And yeah, if you found this video insightful, please leave a like and a comment. and I will see you all very soon.